Welcome back to the future home of Cottage Farmstead. I'm Rebecca and this is Nathan. And last time we were here, we were showing you the land, some of the woods down by the creek, and we left you off with looking at our future home site. And one of the times we were here, my dad said that he saw an area that he thought might be a good place for a well. And we're going to test it out today using some of these dowsing rods. This is something that both of our ancestors, even as recent as our grandparents' generation, have been very familiar with. In fact, Nathan's grandfather was quite familiar with them.
Yeah, up in the upper peninsula of Michigan, he had a couple thousand acres that he farmed and needed to drill some wells, and they took some dowsers out there, and they helped find accurately each and every well that they drilled.
So we are going to practice dowsing today. We were originally going to get a dowser out here, but they were a little bit too far away to come here. So they kind of guided us on like just get some copper wire and you could do it yourself. So we're going to give it a go.
So the history of dowsing started with a forked stick. Willow was often a wood of choice that was used for this. And it originates back to, I think, the 9th century over in Germany, where some of the farmers would use dowsing as a method to find water. The way it works is the earth has a magnetic field, and anytime there is a line running through that magnetic field, it disrupts it, whether that's electricity or water underground. So if you have a material that responds to the magnetic field then, or the water current, such as with the willow branches, then you can actually pick up the signals and the disruption in the magnetic field on the surface, even if it's a couple hundred feet down. You may wonder about like, okay, how good is this? Or is there any science that backs it up? There isn't a lot of science, but the University of Germany did a research over in Sri Lanka and different areas in Africa where there's a very arid region and well digging is just either expensive because it's trying to find a needle in a haystack, but they found that when they dowsed, they were 96% of the time accurate with the location and accurate with the depth to within 10 to 20%. So spectacular results. So it shows you that there might be something to this art.
So these rods are nothing special. This is just copper wire left over from my brother-in-law's house build. And what you're doing with them is you're holding them just loosely in your hands. So it's pretty loosely, kind of like a hinge. You're wanting them to be able to move pretty freely. So with the dowsing rods, you just hold them parallel to the ground in front of you, and they will start moving a little bit. They'll start pointing in the direction of water, typically one of the stronger water sources. So you can see with Nathan here, kind of sorta, they're pointing pretty much straight ahead. So you start walking in that direction. And if he veers off the path, they will start turning. And when you get to the water source, they cross. So as you can see right here, they are crossed in front of him, and they were parallel before when he was walking around. So that means there's water below us right here.
Pretty strong in that direction.
So you can see it's pulling to the right, so he's going to turn around. And it's taking us right back to where we found the water before. So we're in a pretty certain that this is a good spot for drilling a well. See, they crossed right again.
Right over the same spot.
Where this gets a little crazy is you can actually start asking it questions. And this is where it totally goes out of the realms of science. We have no idea how this works. And we're very curious to see once we do dig for water if any of this is particularly accurate.
Is it 10 feet deep? 20 feet deep? 100 feet deep? 200 feet deep? Nope. 150 feet deep? 160 feet deep? Getting closer. 165 feet.
So when you see them go parallel like that, so when they cross, it's essentially like a yes, it's that deep, it's that deep, it's that deep. And then when you go too far, they veer to the right. And when you're correct, they go parallel.
And now we'll try to search for the flow rate. This is another thing that you just ask questions. So let's see what it says. Is it 1 gallon per minute? Is it 2 gallons per minute? 5 gallons per minute? 10 gallons per minute? 15 gallons per minute?
Too fast.
11 gallons per minute? 12 gallons per minute? Wow.
And we have no idea how any of this works. But it's fascinating, and so we are very, very curious to see how accurate this ends up being. My brother and sister-in-law decided to give it a try as well.
Okay, so it's right in here. And then do you reset before
Yeah,
you go?
I usually drop it, bring it up, and then 50 feet deep.
Wow! Oh my goodness.
And then you just say numbers. Ask it.
Is it 25 feet deep? Is it 30 feet deep? Is it 100 feet deep? Is it 200 feet deep? Is it 400 feet deep?
You focus on that, I'll walk ahead of you.
They might be attracted to you. You can feel them moving.
It's so weird. Like, I wasn't moving though.
You feel them moving. No way.
It works!
No, and it just keeps going.
So that shows you it's in line with that. The current of water
probably right
is
here.
right here. So as long as we drill within that line, we should hit water.
I know this all seems super crazy. It brings out the skeptic in most of us. But we do know where a known well is on this property, so we're going to take the dowsing rods down there and see how they react. All right, so we're down by the shack, and we know there's a well here. We know where the well cover is, so we're going to try dowsing. So it's pointing straight ahead, which is the direction of the well.
Just to show you, I'll go this way.
Turn the opposite way. See how they start going right behind you? Like they point in the direction of the water.
So that shows you there's definitely something in this direction. So let's see if it takes us to that well. X marks the spot.
It's a little hard to see with the contrast, but there is definitely an X here, and straight below that is the well cover. So like we said, this is really crazy, not very scientific, and we're very curious to see if it's even remotely accurate with the well that's on the other side of the property. If you want to keep up with this and see how it turns out, see if it was accurate after all with this bit of magic, you'll want to subscribe to our channel. I'll link to that probably on this side over here, link to subscribe, and you can keep up with our homestead building journey as we continue building our dream cottage farmstead.